The following is a hypothetical situation regarding the financial and psychological impact of an unnamed country that would declare martial law. We are not giving financial advice. We are not financial advisors. Rather, based on historical practices of financial behavior, it is a good indication of what might be in the near future. Hello and welcome to Dark Psychology for You. I'm Dr. Watson. Today we're diving into a thought-provoking hypothetical scenario. What would happen if a president of a country declared martial law? Before we begin, remember that this analysis is hypothetical, drawing on historical trends, economic theory, and research on human behavior. Let's start by breaking down the scenario. Project 2025 is a term associated with hypothetical government plans that outline extreme measures, including the potential declaration of martial law. It represents a broader fear of authoritarian responses in a time of crisis. Martial law means placing military authority over civilian functions. It generally suspends normal legal processes, restricts certain freedoms, and centralizes power dramatically. In any country that has economical and political complexity, the declaration of martial law would trigger immediate uncertainty across all facets of society. Now, let's consider the stock market. Markets thrive on predictability and confidence. A sudden declaration of martial law would shatter these pillars, and here's why. Investors' panic and flight is always a possibility. In any major crisis, uncertainty reigns. Investors would likely react with panic, selling off equities en masse. As a result, market volatility would naturally be the consequence of the panic and flight mentality. Sudden shocks lead to erratic, extreme price swings. Algorithms and high-frequency traders might exacerbate this volatility, potentially triggering circuit breakers or even temporary trading halts. Historical parallels, such as during times of war or government shutdowns, demonstrate that markets can drop precipitously in response to drastic political events. Meanwhile, there might be liquidity issues within the financial institutions. So, if financial institutions sense systemic risk due to governmental instability, they may tighten credit conditions dramatically. This could freeze liquidity and further depress the market. As a race of humans, we would like to think that we are individuals rather than interdependent on each other. We prefer to think of ourselves as I rather than we. However, the effects of this hypothetical scenario would be worldwide. A global ripple effect would probably result from any internal instability on the global economy. Foreign investors would withdraw capital, and global stock markets could experience significant downward pressures as a result. This hypothetical situation would institute an uncertainty policy and intervention within any government. A martial law scenario might push the government or central bank to intervene, either to prop up markets or to consolidate power, further muddling investor signals. But such interventions could backfire if they are perceived as manipulative or indicative of deeper systemic problems. Ultimately, the combination of panic selling, extreme volatility, and a mass reallocation to safe assets would likely result in a sharp, possibly prolonged, market downturn. While the economic mechanics are critical, There's also a psychological layer at play, a domain where dark psychology comes into focus. Dark psychology examines how fear, manipulation, and persuasion are exploited by those in power. In our hypothetical scenario, let's start off with the exploitation of fear. Declaring martial law would instill a deep sense of fear. Leaders and state-controlled media might amplify that fear intentionally, using stark narratives or even disinformation to justify further restrictions. This kind of fear-mongering can drive individuals and investors to make impulsive decisions. When a mass group of people do this impulsively, it creates a herd behavior. In times of crisis, individuals tend to follow the crowd, often irrationally. This herd mentality can lead to panic-induced sell-offs in financial markets, magnifying the initial shock. Psychological studies show that under stress, decision-making is biased towards short-term survival rather than long-term planning. In world history, it has been well documented that when dictators or oligarchs can manipulate the message, they can manipulate the masses. With martial law comes the potential for state-controlled messaging. By carefully crafting narratives, leaders might use dark psychological tactics to control public perception, either to downplay certain crises or to distract from systemic problems. Investors and citizens alike may struggle to distinguish genuine information from propaganda, further fueling uncertainty. Understanding these psychological tools is crucial because they not only influence market behavior, but also determine how people respond to authority and crisis. Now that we've explored the potential economic and psychological ramifications of a hypothetical martial law declaration, let's talk solutions. How can you protect yourself in such a scenario? Before we begin, now would be a perfect time to subscribe, like, and ring the bell. This will inform us that we are providing information that you are interested in understanding the ramifications of what happens when dark psychology is present. Thank you, and let's continue. The first step is to stay informed and verify sources. In times of uncertainty, reliable information is your best asset. Develop the habit of cross-checking news sources and be mindful of emotionally charged narratives. Critical thinking helps to buffer the effects of manipulative messaging. Start building an emergency fund if possible. Liquidity matters. Having readily accessible cash or equivalent resources can provide financial stability if markets suddenly freeze or if credit conditions tighten. Therefore, plan ahead and don't wait for the crisis to happen. Whether it's through a clear financial strategy or community support networks, planning for crises, no matter how unlikely, ensures that you're better prepared to make rational decisions under stress. If you are fortunate to have an investment portfolio, it's important to periodically consider consulting professionals who understand both economic and psychological aspects of crises. Remember, while the scenario we discussed is hypothetical, the principles at work are real. By improving both your financial and psychological defenses, you can better navigate uncertain times. Thank you for watching this deep dive into a hypothetical political and economic crisis. and exploring the dark psychology behind such dramatic shifts. While we hope we never see the implementation of such extreme measures as martial law, understanding these dynamics empowers you to be better prepared, both financially and mentally, for any crisis. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember that awareness is the first step to defense.